Let's talk about Mark Carney's new cabinet. 28 cabinet ministers and 10 secretaries of state were sworn in yesterday. Lots of Trudeau ministers in there. Lots of Trudeau's ministers were still in there. Dominique LeBlanc is still in there. Francois-Philippe Champagne, still there. Melanie Jolie, also still there. Maybe the highest profile person that Mark Carney dropped was Jonathan Wilkinson, the former Minister for Energy and Natural Resources. He also dropped Nate Erskine-Smith. Nate Erskine-Smith is pretty high profile, but he wasn't a minister for very long. I heard on CBC that Nate Erskine-Smith said he felt disrespected because he didn't get picked. I'm not going to lie. It would have pissed me off too. Like, he was a minister for less than 6 months. Like, I would be fuming if it was me. I would be so mad. Like, he can't even put that shit on a resume. He can't put that job on a resume. That's job hopping, you know? Like, I hear HR people don't like that very much. Anyways, Mark Carney did add some new faces. Former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson is in there now. Poilievre had something to say about that, actually. He had something to say about that. Listen up.
Even the new additions are problematic. Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver who pushed for total legalization of hard drugs, distribution of tax-funded opioids. During his time there was a 600% increase in overdoses. Now he's the housing minister. Well, what's his record on housing? Well, he increased housing taxes in Vancouver by 141%, and the result was that housing costs went up by 149%, more than doubling the costs and giving Vancouver, his city, the most expensive housing prices in all of North America. Now, Mr. Carney puts this gentleman in charge of housing. If this is the new blood that Mr. Carney is bringing into the cabinet, then sadly for Canadians, nothing is going to change, and the role of the Conservative Party will be more important than ever.
Gregor Robertson probably has the highest profile of any of the new ministers. It is maybe not unexpected that 19 of the 28 senior ministers are from Ontario and Quebec. There's only one senior minister from the prairies. So that's Rebecca Chatrand from Churchill, Manitoba. She is taking over as Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs. Among the junior ministers, you finally find one minister from Alberta, Eleanor Olejewski. She is taking over from David McGuinty as Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience. She will also be in charge of Prairie's Economic Development, which is a new portfolio. David McGuinty got moved to National Defense. One junior minister from Alberta, you guys. One junior minister from Alberta, one from Manitoba, 2 ministers from BC. So the whole of Western Canada got 4 ministers out of 38 total. So I guess, to be fair, you could argue that some of these ministers are not running in the original place where they were born or where they grew up. You could argue Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland have pretty strong ties to Alberta. Tim Hodgson, the new Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, was actually born in Winnipeg. It's interesting that Mark Carney did not really give in to the temptation to load up on ministers from Western Canada. I'm talking about people who are actually representing Western provinces. But I will say this, that energy and natural resources portfolio is huge. Like that is where things like resource development and the Ring of Fire and all those big energy projects will fall. It is one of the most important portfolios in my mind. Like, it is so important. Tim Hodgson's background is quite interesting as well. He was the former CEO of Goldman Sachs Canada. So similar background to Mark Carney in that way. He actually worked with Mark Carney at the Bank of Canada. So I want to see how he does there. I want to see how he does in this portfolio. I'm a little bit interested in how long it takes Danielle Smith to start shitting on him, you know, just for shits and giggles. Here's the thing, you guys. I will be honest. I couldn't give a flying duck who Mark Carney puts in his cabinet. I just want to know who I can hold responsible if they don't deliver. And if they don't deliver, fire them. I don't care. I don't give a shit, right? Fire them. Get me somebody that can make my life better. Somebody who will make buying a home attainable for young people again. Get me someone who will create jobs and get this country booming. And I want a salary that will go far as well. These are the things I want. These are the things I want. I will take friggin' Winnie the Pooh running the portfolio if he gets results. Get me One Punch Man. Hire Margot Robbie if you like. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Get me results. That is all I ask. I will say this. A lot of Trudeau's inner circle still remains around Mark Carney. That's just the visuals of it. And this is exactly what Vashi Kapelas of CTV put to Mark Carney yesterday after his cabinet was sworn in. Watch.
But even when you point to the experience of those who are in the sort of biggest roles, the reason why I highlight them is because they were at the forefront of the decisions that the previous government made.
I disagree with that.
They were. I mean, Mélanie Joly, François-Philippe Champagne, he led the industrial policy. Now he'll be in charge of finance. Dominic LeBlanc led a lot of those files as well. We are used to hearing from them, justifying and explaining the decisions that Justin Trudeau made.
Well,
so now we're going to hear from them again.
Well, first off, now you're hearing from me. I'm a new Prime Minister. I'm the 24th Prime Minister of Canada. I've got very clear set of objectives, which I laid out in the course of my initial government from that cabinet table. Cancel the carbon tax right there. In fact, just to our right of my first act. But developing this focus on one Canadian economy, getting rid of internal trade barriers. We'll do our job by Canada Day. That means the federal government. We're working with the provinces so that they can move out of the way. Some of them are moving really fast. Nova Scotia, Ontario, others moving fast. We're trying to get all of them. But plus unlocking these major projects that are going to build this economy.
You know, I actually like this from Carney. Yeah, he says, you're used to hearing from them. Now you're hearing from me. I like that. It's the man in charge. He is in charge. I like the tone in there. You can see the years of being a CEO in that moment. Now, there's one thing to talk a big game. It is another thing to back it up, right? What he says next in this particular interview shows that he has set some measurable metrics that will be used to judge he and his team's performance. Carney has established metrics which we can judge the performance of his government. I like that it is something measurable. Like, they will knock down interprovincial trade barriers by Canada Day, he says. Well, that's something they either get done or don't, right? We will all see it. They say they will deliver a 1% tax cut for the lowest tax bracket by Canada Day. Also something that they either get done or don't. We will all see the result. And this is something I'm noticing more and more with Carney. He is very results oriented. But I also think he's a smiling assassin. Like, I think there's a lot behind those eyes. I like to read the body language and the tone when I watch these interviews. Carney comes off to me as someone with fire and an intensity that he masks very well with his sense of humor and an easy smile. But make no mistake, I think Carney is a smiling assassin. I think he has a ruthless streak to him. I think you might find that he will very quickly move people on if they don't deliver. But the fact is, he's only one man. Carney is only one man. So let's not sugarcoat it. Carney is taking over an underperforming team. I can probably use the Vancouver Canucks as an example here because I live in Vancouver. I don't know if people will forgive me for comparing Richard Tocchet to Justin Trudeau, but there you go. This country has failed to make the playoffs. The coach is gone. Congratulations, Canucks fans. Your new coach is Adam Foote, a guy who was fired by the Kelowna Rockets. Let that sink in for a sec. Anyways, continuing with the analogy, the coach is gone and we're being laughed at on the international stage. Just listen to this British reporter talking out of pocket, shitting on our military yesterday in front of the Prime Minister. Listen here.
And given how little Canada has paid in year after year, do you trust President Trump? I mean, he seemed pretty clear in the Oval Office. You know, we support them militarily and we're happy to do that. Do you expect that he would come to your aid militarily if needed?
We have very integrated defense forces. NORAD, which is the defense force for the Arctic, for the ballistic missile defense and other things, is highly integrated. We've just announced a major investment, which is state-of-the-art, over-the-horizon radar in the north, for example. We're moving to 365-day presence, air, land, and sea in the north. We have confidence, full confidence in our defense relationship with the United States, as we do with all NATO partners.
Okay. So you're confident that if you needed them, they would support you?
As they are confident that we would support them if they need us.
Okay, with your tiny military and a lot of broken equipment.
It's not that tiny.
I like how he says it's not that tiny. That was a zinger, not gonna lie. I was like, dude, Kanye's growing on me. I'm not even gonna lie about that. He didn't even miss a beat when he responded there. He said it with a smile too. The innuendo wasn't lost on me there as well, right? It's not that tiny, he says. I was sitting there thinking to myself, we're still talking about the military, right? Right? I like that he gave it back to her though. I like that. That's one of the things I really like about Carney. People keep shitting on Canada for not meeting our NATO defense spending. Yes, we've got to honor our commitments, but people forget that Canada has answered the call whenever our allies have needed help. And you've got to remember, the last major conflict on Canadian soil was the war in 1812 or something, right? And we don't go around starting shit. We don't start shit. right? At the same time, we went into Afghanistan when the Americans needed us. We went to Iraq as well, relatively recently. Canadians have fought bravely and died in armed conflict around the world. Now, I'm not having this slander of our military, so stop that. That said, we've got to get back to that proud heritage. We got to be that proud nation again, okay? I will say this about the cabinet, because that's what we're talking about in this video. I want to see results. I don't think Canadians will be very patient with Mark Carney. I think in a year, if we don't start to see some good signs coming from this government, people will start to turn very, very quickly. But I'm going to be honest, I really hope they succeed. And hopefully, we're still one country in a year from now, you know? Anyways, last thing I'm going to say before I end this video. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I know many of you watch, but not all of you are subscribed. So help a brother out. Hit that subscribe button and get in the comments. Please. It costs you nothing, but for small channels like mine, it is everything. Okay? I appreciate you. Peace, guys.